How we doing, guys? Welcome to the Friday Waffle for the 9th of what date is it? It's the 9th of January. I'm cheating because I've got my PlayStation 3 on in the background to give a wee bit of light. Trust all you guys are well. I can't say I am. I was out, I don't know if I mentioned it in my waffle last week, I don't think I did. I was out running and I slipped on ice and landed on my back. I actually flattened my back. It was a pure comedy banana skin slip, legs in the air and came crashing down my back, and I seem to have done something to my, I don't know what it is, what muscle it is. It's the muscle just at above your bum at the back on the left hand side. It's a lot better, it's still a bit sore. So yeah, that's probably old age, guys. I hope, like I said, I hope you've had a good weekend, or having a good weekend. Shut up. How we doing, guys? Welcome to the Friday Waffle. Apologies about last week. I just had that much on. I didn't get an opportunity to make it. Hence the reason it became the Friday Waffle on a Saturday. I trust you're all well. I'm not doing too well. I fell on my arse when I was out running last week. I slipped on ice. I think I might have mentioned it in the waffle. If not, I do apologise. I did a banana skin slip, legs in the air, and I landed flat on my back on the road, and it was bloody sore. I seem to have pulled or injured a muscle in my back, basically just above my backside at the back on the left hand side. It's not quite so bad now, it's certainly a lot better than what it was anyway. I trust you're all, you've had a good week and you're delighted like myself. It's the weekend. Weather wise, bloody hell, last night, I mean, I could hardly sleep. The rain and wind was just absolutely battering the house to bits. I honestly expected the windows to come in, it was that bad. Apparently there's 100 mph winds forecast for tonight, which is Friday night, so happy days. Yeah, what's been happening? Well, it's hard to pass and not mention the atrocities in Paris at the moment. I'm not going to go get into any of the details, you know, the sort of the religion aspects of that, but you know, as any Muslims out there will maintain, these aren't holy people. These are just terrorists picking on the most vulnerable people in society. It's absolutely shocking. It's heartbreaking actually watching these things, and it just seems to be getting worse and worse and worse. So yeah, my heart goes out to all these people that have been caught up in this. Just absolutely terrible. So what else has been happening? Right, okay, work-wise, guys, as I mentioned, I was given an offer, not so much an offer, I was given an opportunity to do a job, albeit temporarily, for the next 2 months until I finish up. Now, I've been doing the job, this is my first week, and bloody hell, it is absolutely pandemonium. I've gone from having done no work at all for literally 3 months, and I've literally been flung into the deep end, but you know what, I'm absolutely loving it. I've been doing a lot of travelling in and about Glasgow. I'm going to be out and about all next week. I mean, today I think I counted, I got over 60 emails, a sort of backlog of other stuff, but absolutely loving it. One slightly disappointing thing was, I have since found out, talking to now, to let you understand, guys, there were 3 companies, the company I worked for included, were taken over by this other company. So there was 3 companies all joined this new company. Now, 3 of the people that are doing the job that I'm doing just now, they have been doing that job for many years. Now, I was talking to them yesterday, and they were telling me that they were delighted to hear that I was joining their team, because they know me from old. I mean, I've worked with these guys for many years. They're saying they know that I know my stuff, you know, switched on, I know the contract and that kind of stuff. And they told me that the 3 people that had basically been given the job over me, now to quote, were a waste of space. Now, I was at a meeting yesterday, and with the successful candidates plus the two people that are still doing the job, and we were asked to basically tell people a bit about ourselves, give our name, what we've done, our background history, our work history, etc. Just tell a bit about, you know, people a bit about ourselves. So I launched into my tirade, and I was still talking 10 minutes later, and I eventually had to apologise and say, right, I better stop talking. Then it came to one of the people who's just been given the job over me, and it was quite clear that they haven't got a clue what they're going to be doing. Now, it's very disappointing to see that. Now, I've since found out that apparently these three people who got the jobs were all told before the interviews that they had jobs. So it seems to me it was a political decision to bring these people across, and people like myself had no chance. But anyway, I am, pardon me, see, after I talk for a few minutes I always get a bit of wind. Yeah, it's quite clear to me that I didn't get the job based on not being qualified or whatever it was. I didn't get the job because other people already had it. But like I said, I'm using these 2 months opportunity to prove that I can do this job, and I'm going to do it really, really well. So I'm really enjoying being back in the workplace again. It's I wouldn't say it's good fun as such, but it's challenging. It's keep me going. The only downside to that is it means I can't make videos during the day like I've been doing for the last 6 months. But you know what, I can still make videos at night time. So anyway, yeah, enough about the job. I mean, you guys will be hoping I get a job, so I don't have to keep talking about it, because it becomes a chore. And I mean, you guys aren't interested in my work related shenanigans. But I know I've been telling you about it recently, and some people have been asking, so I thought it's only right just to keep you up to date. So anyway, yeah, that's that. What else has been happening? I had a few things I was going to talk about. Aye, right, okay. Yeah. When I was making my Arcade Perfect My Arse this week, what did I do? I picked Altered Beast. Now, it's a pretty shitty game, it has to be said. But one version which I was surprised to see was the PC one. Now, I managed to get it running under, what's it called? DOS, is it DOSBox, I think it is. But you know what, it got me thinking about anybody that's owned a PC, who owned a PC in the early days, you know, sort of, I don't know, when you'd be talking about mid-90s. I mean, anybody that says has had a PC back then, you'll know that games evolved from, they started off on floppy disk, DOS games. You had to type in C:\\, the name of the directory, doom/doom.exe to run a program. It was all about you to configure. Every time you ran a game, you had to configure your O32 sound card. You know, that was the Sound Blaster 16, I believe 32. That was the most popular one. Then I was lucky enough to have an O32, which was quite expensive. Then I think you had the O64, but yeah, you had to. It was all done through DOS. Then Windows, I wouldn't say Windows 3.1 revolutionised it, but Windows 95, they brought out DirectX, and is it Direct 3D and all that kind of nonsense, and that basically allowed developers to write games for Windows. Then that obviously moved through XP, etc., and you know where we are now. I mean, Windows is a massive platform for games. But doing the Arcade Perfect thing this week, it got me thinking about just, I mean, how the PC, Windows games, it's an area of games which a lot of people had. I mean, myself included. You know, I went through the DOS games and the Windows. I mean, and Doom, which was DOS, June 2. All these games, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games, were all DOS, then Windows. Now, these games, there's thousands of them. It's the one platform which you can't it's very, very, very hard and finicky to actually run games from that era. And it's the one system, I mean, when you think about it, think about all the game systems that we've come through. ZX81, there's an emulator. Spectrum, there's an emulator. C64, all the 8-bit computers, all the 16-bit computers, all the consoles, even up to like the PlayStation 2. I don't believe there's a PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360 emulator. In fact, I don't think there's not that I'm aware of, there's an Xbox emulator. But every console, handhelds included, even up to like the PSP, PlayStation 2, these could all be emulated. So in years to come, technically people will still be able to play games that were released. I'm sure it's only a matter of time before an Xbox 360 emulator comes out. That's only going to be a matter of time. But yeah, Windows and DOS based games, you know, there was thousands of them, but it's going to be an area of gaming which I think is going to be lost. It's going to be lost in the mist of time unless somebody can somehow come up with almost like a standalone emulator. I mean, the biggest problem with PC games is everybody's PC was different. Somebody would have an O32 card, somebody would have a Radeon, somebody would have a GeForce, somebody would have I can't even bloody remember, 3DFX card. There was all these different bits of hardware. Everybody's computer was different. Some had more memory than others, some had bigger hard drives, some had, you know, different sound cards, video cards. So they had to write all these different bits of hardware. So yeah, it would be very, very difficult, I would imagine. I mean, I'm not technical at all. I'm guessing it would be quite difficult to come up with like an emulator as simple as, you know, something that runs. I mean, my mate Steve Snake, yep, that's his real name. He wrote the absolutely fantastic Fusion, or Kega Fusion. It started off called Kega, then it became Kega Fusion. It's an all Sega emulator. It emulates Game Gear, Mega Drive, Master System, CD32, Mega CD. Absolutely stunning, best emulator ever. It's an amazing emulator. But yeah, you go up to that, open ROM, click on the ROM, or in fact you could even drag a Sonic the Hedgehog zip file across it and it will run. If somebody was to come up with something like that was as usable to run a game, a PC game, then we may be alright. But I don't know whether that is possible. And it does worry me that what's going to happen. I mean, although the games will be preserved, they'll still be there. It's, you know, it's going to be so difficult to actually run these games. We're just going to forget about them. I mean, you know, all the old systems, your Amigas, your C64 Spectrums, we're all, you know, things like that. You talk about Ant Attack, people know what Ant Attack is because they still play it. But you mention, I don't know, Hexen. You know, that was a sort of a Doom wannabe. Chances are that game is probably going to become, it'll just be lost in the mist of time. So what do you think? Do you think there's actually an opportunity? Do you think there will ever be an emulator, a Windows emulator that will be released that will allow you to easily run something like that? Because I mean, you think about it, you get somebody in 10 years time, you take somebody now who's 20 years old, they're younger than the PlayStation. Now in 10 years time, or you ask somebody who was born 20 years ago, right, here's Dune 2 for the PC, go away and play it. They wouldn't have a clue. If they try to double click the exe, it'll come up, this is not supported by your operating system. They would not have a clue how to run that game. Myself, I would know I would be able to go and get DOS box, whatever it's called, or I could download a virtual machine and run it in that, but it's a big palaver, you know what I mean? There's emulators out there for, I mean, I've got all the different emulators from Xbox, you know, I can't imagine there ever been a DOS emulator for like a console. But yeah, that'd be a fantastic piece of code to write if somebody could come up with a easy piss easy to use emulator that runs DOS games and like Windows 3.1 or Windows 95 games. Yeah, because if we don't, we're going to lose stuff like Wolfenstein 3D, all the classics, all the Doom games. They were all written for DOS. It would be a shame to lose these. Yeah, right, I'm going to pause this, guys, before it puffs out. Back in a second. Okay guys, right, apologies, I'm eating I was at a place called New Lanark in Lanark, funny enough, and I picked up some of these, what are they called? Is it sherbet straws, I think they're called. They're yummy, they're really good. Yeah, what was I going to talk about there? Aye, the game that I was playing yesterday for my mashup was Boulderdash. And you know what? Playing it last night, it just made me realise it is one of the absolute classic games from the 8-bit. I mean, it really is. It looks shit, but it plays absolutely beautifully. Now, I'll be honest, most 8-bit games I struggle to play for any more than a few minutes. You know, there's a lot of these games that you look back in the day, I mean, even stuff like, I don't know, dare I say, one of my favourite games, Exploding Fist, these kind of things. You know, they were wonderful games, and they still are good games. But I struggle. If I was to start playing it, chances are after 5 minutes I would be getting fed up. I would want to put it off. But Boulderdash is one of these games. It's an absolute timeless. It's a timeless game. It really is. And it just got me thinking about what other games from back in the day could you say are absolutely classic games even now. I mean, Boulderdash, I don't even know what genre of what you would call Boulderdash. It's not a puzzle, it's not a platform game, it's not a shoot 'em up game. I mean, I don't know, it's not a maze game. It's completely unique, utterly unique. Yeah, so it got me thinking, what other 8-bit games could you say are absolute classic games? Now, I don't mean games that you enjoyed. You know, people say, oh, Chase HQ and the Spectrum. I mean, Chase HQ and the Spectrum was and is a stunningly well programmed game. I mean, it's an amazing feat of programming expertise. But would you really want to play that rather than play, I don't know, Forza Horizon or Ridge Racer or something like that? Probably not. Like I say, something like Chase HQ, you would maybe play a couple of games, then you would be bored. You would rather go and play something else. But yeah, so Boulderdash is definitely one of these games. If you've never played it, do yourself a favour. I mean, you've probably seen these lists that appears on the internet. It's like 50 books to read before you die, or 50 films you must see before you die. I would say Boulderdash is one of these games that you must play before you die. It's never been done since then. I can't think of any game even remotely similar to Boulderdash. But yeah, so anyway, other games that I would say you have to play, 8-bit games, or not even, games that kids that are 20 years old, they need to try these games. One game I was thinking about is Bounty Bob Strikes Back. It's platforming at its very, very best. Again, the graphics are crude beyond belief. I remember even seeing the game back in the day. I mean, Bounty Bob Strikes Back was the sequel to Miner 2049er, there we go, which what's his face? Matthew Smith, yeah. Matthew Smith actually, what did he do? He admitted that Miner 2040 and Niner was the inspiration behind Manic Miner. And if you look at the graphics for Miner 2049er, you'll see how god awful they are. They're atrocious. Bounty Bob Strikes Back came out, when did it come out? I would say 1985, 1986, and the graphics are absolutely horrendous. Shockingly blocky graphics. Crap. Absolutely awful looking. But you know what? It's an absolutely brilliant game. Now, excuse me. These are perfect. Yeah, I mean it's a platform game. I mean that is exactly what it is. It's jumping from one platform to another, picking up collectibles. But they introduce, you know, there's like little pipes that can move you from A to B. There's what is there? There's lifts that move you up and down. It's such a simple game, but it's put together so well. It's a staggeringly beautiful game. It really is. One game which I've never played, and I'm sure some people would probably say is up there with Bounty Bob Strikes Back, is probably Chucky Egg. On the Spectrum, apparently other versions are shite. That's a game, again, it's a game I've not really played that much, but it's apparently one that's worth looking at. One game that is obvious we need to mention is Elite. You know, Elite, it was the absolutely groundbreaking. I'm not aware of any game that's bettered it. I mean, I know Elite Dangerous, I've tried that on the Oculus Rift, I think, as I mentioned, and it looks nice. But yeah, again, it's one of these. It's no matter what platform you owned back in the day, these are games that need to go down in the history books as being absolute classic games of their time. Trying to think what else. You know, I mean, there was so many games you could say, like I suppose you could say like Night Lore, but you know, Night Lore was a stunning looking game when it came out. It was groundbreaking. I mean, it was years ahead of itself, anything else. You've probably heard you've probably heard the thing that apparently Ultimate, they wrote Night Lore before they wrote Underworld, but they reckoned that if they released Night Lore, it was going to stop the sales of Underworld, and it was so far ahead of its time, so they released Underworld, then they released Night Lore later on. Yeah, but it's a beautiful game. But then it's been, you know, you can get similar games you can get games, pseudo 3D games. I'm trying to think of examples on sort of current consoles and that kind of stuff. So yeah, that idea has been bettered. What else? What other games would you say are landmark 8-bit games? I mean, there was a lot of games very similar. You know, you had your Attic Attacks, your Sabre Wolves, Robin o' the Woods, Sorcery. These are all very similar. Run and pick up something, take it to something, open a door, go through a door, shoot a baddie, sort of thing. They were very similar. I mean, you could say, oh, Match Day or International Soccer, but these games, let's be honest, they were groundbreaking at the time, but these games have all been surpassed. You know, you just have to look at FIFA 15, are we up to 15 or is it 16 now? I'm not too sure. And these games are just stunning. They're real life, they look so real. Then you could talk about race games, Chase HQ for example. You know, great game when it came out, but it's been surpassed now with obviously more modern games. So I'm just trying to think, is there any other cult games or not cult games, are there any other games that are so unique but they deserve to go down in history? Right, I'm going to pause this once more, guys. Back in 2 seconds. Okay, eBay. Well, all the stuff that I put up, what did I put up for sale? I put up some games for VIC-20. I put up, what the hell did I put up again? I cartridge for a memory expansion for my Atari 8-bit. I put up a game for the GameCube. What's it called? Metroid Fusion, I think, is it? Yeah, Metroid Fusion. Put that up, and there's something else which has completely escaped me. I checked my prices against other ones that had sold, and I thought mine looked pretty reasonable. Well, didn't get anything, didn't even get any offers or anything, so yeah, I'm obviously asking too much money, so I'll need to rethink my strategy. I was through at my mate's George's house, was it last week I think it was. He's bought himself one of these, don't quote me on this, Steve Benway did a review of it recently, the JXTG or something, Android handheld. It's sort of so big. I mean, it's got a massive screen, it's probably about 3 times the size of the PSP. George bought himself one of these. Got to say, it looks really nice. Now George has actually promised me a loan of it, and I'm going to do my own sort of a review of it, just give you my thoughts on it. I think I mentioned before, I'm quite tempted to buy something like that. As I mentioned before, I've got my Pandora. Now, I was going to sell, I think I mentioned again, I was going to sell my Pandora, but I'm one of these people, when I want something, it tends to kind of get right inside there, and it becomes this focus. I want, and I'll do anything to get it. And it was the same with this handheld. I thought, I'm going to sell my Pandora so I can get this thing. And you know, I had my Pandora up for sale, but then I later decided, nah, I'll just hang on to it. It's a cracking wee bit of kit. But anyway, yeah, there's that thing, the GX, whatever it's called, TG. There's also one called the Nvidia Shield, which is a Pandora handheld, but it looks more like an Xbox 360 with flip up. So I quite fancy one of these. I'm not going to get 2 of them, obviously. But when I was through at George's house, I think I mentioned again, he's built another PC which he's going to try and sell. I don't know if it might be sold now, but it's might be quite high spec. So again, if I get a full-time job, then I'm going to be buying a new PC, and I quite fancy buying George's off him, if it's still for sale. But then when I was through at his house, he was showing me this, I don't even know what it's called. Is it an Apple Mini or something? It's basically, it's an Apple Mac, and it's about the size of a router. You know, it's sort of yawn big by that, excuse me. And he had this thing plugged into his TV downstairs. I don't know what size of TV, a 40-inch LCD or something. And plugged in through HDMI, HDMI. And I mean, the picture, as you'd expect, it looks absolutely stunning. And on this, he had Xbox Media Center, so he was able to stream all videos from his PC, he was able to watch films and that kind of stuff. And it was all controlled using one of these things, you know, a smartphone. And he also had multiple emulators on it, including MAME, and these were being controlled using an Xbox 360 wireless controller. And I have to say, yeah, it looked fantastic. Be able to play these games on a big TV, slouched on the couch, I like that, it rhymes, really appeals to me. So yeah, I left George's thinking, right, I need to get enough money for a new PC, I need to get a GXTG, whatever it's called, and I need to get one of these Apple PC things, Apple Minis, I don't know what the hell it's called. But yeah, the stuff that I want to buy is growing by the minute, but until which time I have a full-time income, I'll be getting none of these things. So yeah, anything else, guys? I don't want to, I realise, and again I apologise about this one's been pretty much made up on the spot. As I was mentioning, the job, it's been 100 miles an hour. I mean, I've not even yesterday and the day before, I didn't even stop for lunch. I just worked right the way through. So I've not had any time at all to try and come up with stuff for my waffle. So this one has just been pretty much made up on the spot. I'm going to pause it back in a second. Right, okay guys, listen, I'm conscious this video is probably dragging on a wee bit, and it's not been a very interesting one. I really do apologise for not making more of an effort with the Friday Waffle, because I've really not been talking about sort of video games and that kind of stuff. But anyway, listen, just on that token, I mean, apart from not having the time, I must admit I'm seriously struggling to come up with topics to talk about. I mean, there's plenty of stuff that I could talk about which I've already spoke about, so I don't want to start repeating myself. But please, 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 I would really, really appreciate if you've got anything at all, any topics. That's a chocolate bar, isn't it, with nuts in every bite. If you've got any topics at all that you want me to talk about, please put it in the comments below. Now, I would actually ask you to make a specific effort to think of something. Come up with something you want me to talk about, pop it in the comments below, and I promise I will do that next week. Because I'm just, for running the risk of sounding like a broken record, I think, you know, I'm going to start repeating myself, and it could get to the point that I'll end up knocking the Friday Waffle in the head. And I must admit, I do actually quite enjoy making them, but it's quite difficult when you've not got anything to actually talk about. So please guys, anything at all, anything, you know, preferably game related. It doesn't have to be old games, it can be anything about any question at all about video games. Please, please, please think of something, put it in the comments below, and I promise you I will answer every single one. It'll just give me some, it's like trying to be a script writer and actor, and you've got to do it all yourself. You eventually run out of ideas, and people are going to stop watching because it's like, well, this guy's like a broken record. I don't want it to become like that, guys. So please, anything at all that you want me to talk about, give my views on, my thoughts, opinions about, think of something, put it in the comments below, and like I said, I do promise you guys I will do a response to it next Friday. So that is it guys. As again, apologies about it being a very, very tedious Friday Waffle, although I must admit it did make my day. Was it last week, the week before, I can't remember, I think it was a couple of weeks ago. I made another one of these boring waffles, and it really was. I was struggling to talk about stuff, and one of my subs actually said that he was stranded at a bus stop in the freezing cold weather, and he was listening to this on his iPod, and he said it helped him pass the time, and you know, he was thanking me for it. And I thought, bloody hell, is that how desperate some people are, that they would want to listen to me talking shite? But anyway guys, listen, as usual, and I've got to say, I noticed my subs seem to have taken a bit of a leap this week. I think I picked up something like 6 or 7 subscribers, so I don't know where they came from, but if it was one of you guys, thank you very much. But as usual guys, thank you to everybody who supports me, whether it's leaving comments, subscribing to me, you know, it all helps. And I look upon this as everybody's channel. It's a wee community, we have a bit of banter, you know, have a laugh about things and that as well. So anyway guys, as usual, have a wonderful weekend, stay safe, don't go out unless you really have to, if you're in the UK, because apparently it's to be 100 mph winds and that again. So stay safe, have a great weekend. If you're watching this on a Saturday, I hope you're having a nice weekend. And if you're watching this anytime after I've made it, then I trust you had a nice weekend. And as usual guys, thank you very much for watching.